The suicidal moments Princess Diana never wanted the world to know. It's shocking. Princess Diana is remembered as the people's princess, but behind the smiling photos and public appearances, there was a side of her life that was hidden from the world. Only a few people know the full extent of Princess Diana's struggles, especially the moments when she came dangerously close to ending it all. In this video, we're talking about the suicidal moments Princess Diana desperately tried to keep out of the spotlight. These were times when she felt utterly broken, overwhelmed by the weight of her royal duties, a crumbling marriage, and the constant pressure of the public eye. Princess Diana wasn't just battling paparazzi, she was battling herself. And the shocking truth is, many of her most painful struggles were kept so secret that even her closest friends didn't know. But what pushed her to these extreme moments? How did Princess Diana fight through her darkest days? Stay with us as we uncover the painful, shocking details of her life that the world never knew. Number 1. The bulimia struggle. Princess Diana's struggle with bulimia was something she kept hidden from the public for years, and it started almost immediately after she married King Charles. She had a fragile sense of self-worth, even before entering the royal family, but the intense pressure of her new life, coupled with King Charles' emotional neglect and the constant media attention, pushed her to the brink. Princess Diana confided in a few close friends that the disorder began as a way to cope with her feelings of inadequacy. She would binge on food in moments of emotional pain, then purge to try and regain some sense of control. The royal family, especially King Charles, had no idea about the extent of her struggles. She was expected to maintain a perfect image, to be the flawless princess, but inside, she was battling severe emotional turmoil. The secret was one of the most difficult for her to share with anyone, and even after it came to light, many didn't realize how deeply it affected her mental state. Number 2. The first suicide attempt, 1981. Before her wedding to King Charles, Princess Diana was already feeling overwhelmed by the pressure of royal life. Just a few months into their engagement, she made her first suicide attempt. She overdosed on pills in a desperate moment of despair, feeling like she was suffocating under the weight of her new responsibilities. Her engagement to King Charles should have been a time of excitement, but instead she felt completely unprepared for the reality of life as a royal. The isolation and scrutiny, the intense media attention, and her growing anxiety about the marriage. It was all too much. This was the first of many moments in her life when Princess Diana felt trapped and unable to see a way out. She kept this attempt private for years, and only later did those close to her realize how badly she'd been struggling. Number 3. The knife incident, 1983. In 1983, Princess Diana experienced what many have described as one of her most dangerous emotional breakdowns. She was deeply unhappy in her marriage to King Charles, which was becoming more and more apparent to those around her. One night, in the midst of an emotional crisis, Princess Diana grabbed a knife in a moment of overwhelming despair. She was at an emotional breaking point, feeling abandoned by her husband, who was still deeply involved with Camilla Parker Bowles. Princess Diana reportedly felt like she couldn't go on, but fortunately, she was stopped before anything tragic could happen. She later told close friends that it was at that moment she realized just how far gone she was. It was a terrifying reflection of how much pain she was in. Despite all her public charity work, her royal duties, and the facade of the perfect princess, Princess Diana was silently suffering in ways that only a few close to her ever truly understood. Number 4. The phone call to her mother, 1984. During a particularly dark period in 1984, Princess Diana picked up the phone and called her mother, Frances, in a desperate bid for comfort. She was emotionally drained from her marriage to King Charles, which was already crumbling under the strain of his infidelities. Princess Diana expressed to her mother that she didn't know how much longer she could continue with the life she was living. She was overwhelmed by the constant media scrutiny, the loneliness, and the feeling that she was completely misunderstood by everyone around her, including her husband. What made this phone call especially heartbreaking is how vulnerable Princess Diana was, something she rarely allowed herself to show in public. But to her mother, Princess Diana revealed just how deeply she was struggling with her mental health, revealing that at times, she felt like she had no way out. The pressures of being a royal combined with her personal turmoil were slowly taking their toll. Number 5. The secret diary entries. Princess Diana's diaries were a window into her soul, a place where she could be brutally honest about what she was going through. She wrote candidly about her feelings of worthlessness, her struggles with the royal life, and at times, her thoughts of ending it all. These personal accounts were her way of processing the pain she couldn't show to the public. In her diaries, Princess Diana reflected on how her marriage to King Charles had made her feel invisible, unloved, and trapped in a world that was constantly watching her every move. She also wrote about her emotional breakdowns and the intense loneliness she felt. These entries were so private, so raw, that Princess Diana would later regret allowing anyone to see them. But they revealed a woman who, despite her smile and charity work, was fighting an internal battle that few could imagine. Princess Diana never wanted anyone to read her diaries, but they became crucial in understanding just how much she suffered in silence. Number 6. The constant pressure of royal duties. Being a royal sounds glamorous to most people, but for Princess Diana, it felt suffocating. Every move, every word, every look was scrutinized. Princess Diana once said she felt like she was walking on eggshells all the time, trying to meet the expectations of the public, the media, and the royal family. She was expected to be perfect, to smile, to wave, to look poised at all times. But instead, she was crumbling. The pressure was relentless, and it only intensified after her marriage started to unravel. Princess Diana began to feel like she was more of a performer than a person. She couldn't be herself. She couldn't express her pain or anger without fear of it becoming a media frenzy. The royal duties that once seemed like a dream became an unbearable weight. Her mental health deteriorated as she struggled to juggle her public role and her private turmoil. Number 7. The emotional toll of her marriage to King Charles. Princess Diana's marriage to King Charles was for many years a public spectacle of unhappiness. On the surface, the couple seemed perfect, but behind closed doors, the relationship was falling apart. King Charles' ongoing affair with Camilla Parker Bowles left Princess Diana heartbroken and emotionally neglected. In private, Princess Diana confessed to friends that she felt like a third wheel in her own marriage, with King Charles and Camilla's connection always looming. The emotional neglect took a severe toll on her mental health, and Princess Diana often felt isolated and alone. The constant emotional strain left her vulnerable to depression and anxiety, and at times suicidal thoughts. King Charles focused on his own issues, didn't realize the extent of her pain. Princess Diana felt abandoned and unloved by the very person who was supposed to be her partner, and that sense of emotional betrayal became one of the defining struggles of her life. Number 8. The Sydney Trip, 1985. In 1985, during a royal tour of Australia, Princess Diana had a breakdown that would mark another dark chapter in her life. The trip was supposed to be a triumph, with Princess Diana becoming the face of the royal family on a global stage. But privately, Princess Diana was overwhelmed by the constant pressure, the media circus, and the unresolved issues in her marriage. In the privacy of her hotel room, Princess Diana reportedly broke down, crying and expressing that she couldn't go on. She felt trapped by her responsibilities, unable to escape from the royal life that was suffocating her. The breakdown was so severe that she confided in her staff, and they stepped in to make sure she was okay. But this was just one of many times when Princess Diana felt like she was on the edge, struggling with her mental health in a way that was never visible to the public. Number 9. The aftermath of her divorce, 1996. After Princess Diana's divorce from King Charles in 1996, she thought that her life might finally find peace. But the reality was far different. Princess Diana was now in the public eye as a divorced woman, and the media's obsession with her only intensified. The divorce left her feeling like she'd failed in the eyes of the world, and she struggled with her self-worth. In private, Princess Diana admitted to friends that she often felt like she had nothing left to live for. Her confidence was shattered, and she was emotionally exhausted. She had 2 young children to care for, but she struggled to find meaning in her own life. She often expressed feelings of loneliness and fear that she would be forever defined by her failed marriage. The pressure from the media, combined with her personal struggles, made her feel isolated and despondent. Number 10. The confrontation with King Charles over the affair. In 1986, after years of enduring King Charles' affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, Princess Diana's emotional pain reached a boiling point. During a confrontation with King Charles, Princess Diana was candid about her devastation. She angrily confronted him about the affair, accusing him of emotionally abandoning her and destroying their marriage. This confrontation, however, only left Princess Diana feeling more isolated. King Charles remained cold and detached, refusing to acknowledge the full extent of her suffering. For Princess Diana, this was one of the most painful moments of her marriage, being forced to confront the man she still loved, who, in return, showed little sympathy for the damage he'd caused. In the aftermath, Princess Diana retreated further into herself, and the emotional neglect from King Charles only deepened her sense of despair. Her mental health continued to deteriorate, and she confided in close friends that she'd considered ending her life on more than one occasion. Number 11. The therapy sessions, 1980s to 1990s. Princess Diana's visits to therapy in the late 1980s and early 1990s were an important, though often painful part of her journey to cope with her inner demons. In therapy, Princess Diana revealed the full scope of her struggles: her depression, feelings of worthlessness, and frequent thoughts of suicide. She described how the stress of being in the royal spotlight, her failed marriage, and her body image issues were all contributing to her mental breakdowns. Princess Diana later admitted that the therapy sessions were the only time she truly felt heard and understood. They were a rare space where she could speak freely about the overwhelming pressure she was under. Despite these sessions, she often felt stuck in a cycle of emotional pain, with little hope that things would improve. The media, of course, never knew about these private sessions, and Princess Diana continued to present the image of a happy, well-adjusted royal, all while fighting a battle within her own mind. Number 12. The death of her father, 1992. In 1992, Princess Diana's father, Earl Spencer, passed away, and his death hit her harder than anyone could have imagined. She'd always been close to him, and losing him was devastating. Princess Diana felt as though she'd lost her emotional anchor, and his death triggered a deep depression that took months to come to terms with. In the aftermath, Princess Diana withdrew from public life for a time, struggling with overwhelming sadness and feelings of abandonment. She confided in her friends that she didn't know how to cope without her father, and for the first time, she truly questioned her ability to keep going. Princess Diana's grief was compounded by the pressure to maintain her role in the royal family, which seemed to demand constant cheerfulness. She was constantly expected to be the warm, loving princess, even though she was grieving profoundly. Number 13. The incident with the seatbelt, 1995. In 1995, during a period of intense personal turmoil, Princess Diana allegedly left her seatbelt off while driving, possibly as an unconscious attempt to escape her life. Princess Diana was reportedly in a very dark place at the time, having recently separated from King Charles, dealing with the public fallout, and facing the constant media scrutiny. Some insiders speculate that the seatbelt incident could have been an attempt at a cry for help. Princess Diana later admitted in interviews that she had a death wish during that period, and it's clear that she was struggling with suicidal thoughts. This was another moment that showed just how far Princess Diana had fallen mentally. She was emotionally exhausted, facing an uncertain future, and felt disconnected from everything she once knew. Number 14. The Night of the Knives, 1988. In 1988, during one of her many emotional breakdowns, Princess Diana allegedly locked herself in a room with a knife, considering suicide. It was a chilling moment for those close to her, especially her butler, Paul Burrell, who was the one to intervene. Princess Diana later described this moment as one of the lowest points of her life, feeling completely overwhelmed and desperate for relief from the emotional pain she couldn't escape. She was once again grappling with the weight of her marriage, the relentless media attention, and her struggles with body image. Princess Diana's mental health was deteriorating at an alarming rate, and it's clear from accounts of her friends and staff that she was deeply afraid of what she might do in her darkest moments. Her struggle with suicidal thoughts was something she tried to hide, but it was an undeniable part of her reality for many years. Number 15. The emotional isolation post-divorce. After her divorce from King Charles in 1996, Princess Diana's world felt like it was falling apart. Although she was free from her marriage, she still faced the same pressures of being under constant public scrutiny. Princess Diana admitted that she felt emotionally isolated, with few people she could truly trust. Her friends, although supportive, couldn't fully understand what she was going through as the media continued to hound her every move. Princess Diana was trying to find herself outside of the confines of her royal identity, but the loneliness became overwhelming. She described herself as being in an emotional desert, feeling like an outcast both within the royal family and in society at large. Her sense of self had been shattered by years of emotional neglect, and despite her outward appearances, Princess Diana's internal pain was consuming her. She was still fighting to heal, but the emotional scars from her past were deep. Number 16. The confession to her friends. Princess Diana was known to have a close circle of friends to whom she would confide her innermost thoughts, including her darkest moments. She admitted to them that there were times when she felt like there was no way out, that suicide seemed like the only escape. Despite her public persona, she was battling severe depression and emotional turmoil in private. Princess Diana's friends were often the ones who stepped in to comfort her when she was at her lowest, but even they couldn't always get through to her. One friend recalled how Princess Diana would break down in tears, overwhelmed by feelings of worthlessness and a deep fear that she would never be able to break free from the royal constraints. It was in these raw, vulnerable moments that Princess Diana's true emotional state was revealed, one that was far from the poised, glamorous figure the world saw. Number 17. The 1997 interview with the BBC. In 1997, Princess Diana sat down for an explosive interview with BBC's Martin Bashir, where she revealed just how badly her mental health had been affected by her marriage and royal life. She confessed that her marriage to King Charles had caused her great emotional pain, and it had driven her to the point of considering suicide. For the first time, Princess Diana was open about her battles with bulimia, her depression, and the dark thoughts she had during her marriage. The interview was a turning point. Princess Diana finally spoke out publicly about the abuse she'd suffered, both emotionally and psychologically. But even as she spoke about her pain, there was a sense of detachment, as if she had long since accepted the idea that her personal suffering was just part of the price of being a royal. Number 18. The struggles with self-worth and body image. Throughout her life, Princess Diana's struggles with self-worth and body image were a significant part of her mental health issues. Despite being admired worldwide for her beauty, Princess Diana never saw herself that way. She constantly battled feelings of inadequacy, feeling that she didn't measure up to the public's expectations of her as the perfect princess. She struggled with her appearance, especially after the birth of her sons, William and Harry, and felt an overwhelming pressure to maintain a slender, youthful figure. Her eating disorder, bulimia, was in many ways an attempt to control something in her life that felt out of control. She was caught in a cycle of self-doubt, comparing herself to other women, including her husband's former lovers. This constant comparison fueled her feelings of being unlovable, and she confessed to friends that she often felt ugly and unwanted. Number 19. The incident at Sandringham, 1987. During a royal family gathering at Sandringham in 1987, Princess Diana reportedly tried to leave the estate, emotionally drained and desperate for relief from her pain. It was another moment where Princess Diana felt like she couldn't take the pressure anymore. She was overwhelmed by the constant royal obligations, the coldness from King Charles, and the intense media attention. Her sense of isolation was palpable. She later told friends that she felt like an outsider in the royal family, and it seemed like no one could understand the depth of her unhappiness. The pressure of maintaining her royal image while dealing with personal turmoil became too much, and in that moment, she just wanted to escape. Number 20. The final years before her death. In the months leading up to her tragic death in 1997, Princess Diana's emotional struggles were well documented by those close to her. Despite appearing to live a life of independence and success, traveling the world, doing charity work, and maintaining a high-profile romantic relationship with Dodi Fayed, Princess Diana was still battling deep emotional pain. She was in therapy, but her grief, isolation, and anxiety seemed to follow her everywhere. Friends and family described her as someone who was both trying to rebuild her life and simultaneously feeling like a shell of her former self. Princess Diana confessed to those closest to her that, while she was trying to find a new purpose, she often felt hopeless about her future. There were moments when she was optimistic, particularly about her children and the work she was doing with charities, but these were quickly overshadowed by overwhelming bouts of loneliness and fear. Princess Diana's struggles were far deeper than the public ever knew. The suicidal moments and emotional battles she faced, which she tried to keep hidden from the world, revealed the intense pressure she was under, even as she appeared to have it all. What do you think about the shocking suicidal moments Princess Diana went through? How do you think her life might have been different if she'd been able to speak openly about her struggles earlier? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with others to help keep the conversation going. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!